You're listening to Seattle Real Estate Podcast.
This podcast might not seem within the realm of real estate coverage, and it's not, but there's some details in here that have to do with public safety. Plus, this is just going to be kind of a fun one because we're going to make fun of a stupid criminal. All right, let's just do this. And maybe he's not stupid. Maybe it's a very intelligent criminal, but maybe he just made some bad choices that ended up with him getting in a little bit of trouble with Officer Friendly from the Bellevue Police Department. This is a Bellevue crime story. So this is what we're working with in Bellevue. And if you're a Bellevue cop and you were in on this, I would love to hear your side of this story. Man attempts to elude Bellevue police in car up on jacks. Now, what does that mean? Is it jacked up? Is it all jacked up on the roids? No, it's not. It's on jack stands to change out tires. Now, why is he changing out tires? Let's get into that. Before we do, if you're new here, welcome. My name is Sean Reynolds, and believe it or not, I do own a couple of real estate companies, and I'm actively managing them, but I read a lot of news, and I read the news from my perspective, which is a real estate guy. Some might say that in spite of me being from Seattle and Bellevue, my take on the news is somewhat reasonable. All right. Bellevue police arrested a man accused of stealing tires from a dealership and attempting to flee from police with his own car still on jacks, according to Bellevue police. I read this story and I'm like, okay, now wait a minute. He's putting, what's the deal? A 23-year-old man was arrested Tuesday morning after police responded to a report of theft at a dealership lot. Now, there's only a few dealerships in Bellevue. We just don't have that many dealerships. There's kind of Auto Row in downtown Bellevue, and that's where I believe this happened. I'm not sure. But the man is accused of stealing tires off a black Dodge Challenger, which we've got a photo of. It's okay, that's black, and that has no tires. Dodge Challenger. You know that car. It's like the old Dodge Challengers from the 70s. Those were really cool. And this is kind of like a remake of that. And they're cool too, but I think they've kind of lost some of the luster. And it's kind of like when I grew up, when you referred to a middle-aged man having like I am right now, when you referred to a middle-aged man having just the ultimate midlife crisis, he'd be driving a Corvette. Now, when I see guys having a midlife crisis, sometimes they're driving a Dodge Challenger. But they're still cool cars, right? You can't get around it. It's Dodge Challenger, you know? So the man is accused of stealing tires off a black Dodge Challenger, then driving across the street. So he steals the tires and attempts to put the tires on his own red Dodge Challenger. All right. He only drove across the street. Why didn't you drive farther? Don't you have a parking lot somewhere else you could go to where it wouldn't be quite so obvious that if that crime got called in, maybe you're not across the street in your car trying to put the tires on in a jacked up rig? I don't know, but that's just me. Okay, so you went across the street, you drove your car across the street, and you're going to be putting your own tires on your own red Dodge Challenger. When police arrived, the man dove into his car to flee. But since his car was up on jacks to swap out the tires, the car didn't go anywhere. Could you imagine? Turn on the ignition and you're like, oh, I got to go. I got to leave. I got to get the F out of here. Oh, no tires, no rims, no air in said tires. Tires are in the trunk. They're outside because he's getting ready to put them on. I don't know where the tires are. They're not on the car. That's the bottom line, right? He's in the steering wheel. He's got the engine going and he's like, oh, I can't go anywhere. Did any of this really happen? I don't know. Maybe he just jumped back in the car because he's like, what else am I going to do? Am I just going to be a complete idiot standing out beside my car and go, yeah, I did it. Yeah, stole the tires off that car over there that you can clearly see has no tires. And the tires are right here. I was trying to put them on my car. After he was arrested, police found a loaded, stolen gun. All right. So the fun times are over as far as this podcast go, but we're going to keep going because these are some of the trends and these are some of the things that happen over and over again that annoy me. This criminal, not very bright, but he's got a loaded, stolen gun. When you talk about guns in the hands of criminals, these guys are not going to Walmart. They're not going to your local hardware store. They're not going to your local gun store, buying a gun with all the appropriate permits, background checks, and all that. It's a loaded, stolen gun. So there's that. So what I'm saying here is that regulating guns, okay. How are you going to regulate a stolen gun? What are you going to do there? So it was legally purchased. You can regulate the heck out of that. When it gets stolen and it ends up in the hands of a criminal, what are you going to do there? I say you come down on the, possession of a stolen handgun. Come down on that. Gives people some real jail time. Oh, we don't want to do that. We'd have to incarcerate people. Good Lord. What are we talking about? How is that going to go? Just did a podcast on Mayor Breed down in San Francisco, basically coming full circle from defund the police to we need to get some more money in this bad boy system so we can pay these cops overtime. We're going to flood these areas that are being, broken into and the big, huge dash and grabs. We're going to flood them with cops. And we're going to go after people dealing drugs and using drugs. This is in San Francisco. And this is a mayor that literally took $120 million out of their police budget. And it's like, okay, wow, that was quick full circle. So in those instances, if they find people doing the dash and grab, smash, dash, and grab, if they find people with stolen guns, give them a hefty sentence. Give them a hefty sentence. That'll make people think about, should I really have a stolen handgun? Because if there's no consequences for that, it's just going to keep on going. But you know what'll happen? This isn't good. We're actually incarcerating people. All right. The next part of our story here. So it looks like it's, that's not a huge, it looks like a Glock. It's probably he had a stolen Glock with a fully loaded clip. Yep. The man was booked into jail on 7 felony warrants. Let me read that again. The man was booked into jail on 7 felony warrants. It's 7 felony warrants. Yeah. Outstanding warrants. Hey, yeah. We're going to need you to come in. You got 7 felony warrants. Additional charges are pending. Okay. So you have got folks out there that are committing crimes that have got all kinds of stuff going on. I mean, and we're just kind of letting them roam around. We're just, you just let these people do their thing. And guess what? They're going to continue doing it. This guy just wanted some shiny new rims. He wanted those big wide rims that are shiny and, they're like really low profile and they're cool. He just wanted those for his car. He wasn't able to drive far enough away to get away with it. And he had a handgun and he had 7 felony warrants. Not good. And the happy ending to the story is additional charges are pending. Okay. So this is a typical day in, any of these cities that has these knuckleheads running around, stupid criminals with all kinds of charges racked up against them. And what are they doing? They're out stealing. They're stealing more stuff. You're going to have to deal with that at some point in time. We're already dealing with it just in a negative way. So the fact that this is kind of going on just kind of makes you go, all right. That's about right. So every single time I hear about, we need to regulate the guns. It's like, okay, look at the people that are using the guns that are so often quoted in these news stories. What do those guns look like? One word, stolen. Why? Because they're not going to regular gun stores. They can't pass a background check. Oftentimes they're felons. They can't have a gun. I mean, these are just basic, simple things that we seem to just keep butting our heads up against. And if you read the news, you'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, that gun's stolen. stolen, stolen, stolen so often. And you don't have to do a huge dive into the statistics to figure out this is a pattern. All you have to do is read these kind of stories that I read. I read these all day long, and I may start reading some of the more of these crime stories because it just kind of shows how ridiculous things have gotten as far as what's going on out there, what are people doing, the insanity of the crimes that they're trying to pull. And I was just trying to get some, better rims for my car. And I mean, the guy literally takes him off of a car at a dealership, leaves that car on stands, puts his own car up on jack stands, figures he won't get caught. And when he does get caught, jumps into his car and he's like, damn it, my car won't go. Plus, got a stolen gun. 7 outstanding warrants. This isn't going to go well. I am not going to be spending Christmas and New Year's of 2022 outside of jail. Well, I would hope not. But, in today's day and age, this guy might just, get a slight slap on the wrist. We'll work out that other stuff later. You go do your thing. That loaded stolen handgun, we'll deal with that later. I'm sure it was fine. I'm sure he didn't have any malintent with that stolen handgun. I mean, what could go wrong when you've got a guy with all this criminal history that's outstanding? I mean, this is a brazen crime. This is like the dash and grab. I mean, the fact that we've got pictures of this and it's just so clear what's going on. It's like, how did you figure you were going to get away with this? There are security cameras everywhere. I was watching, The Five on Fox. I watch just to kind of see what the personalities are doing there. I don't follow the stories that they cover a lot because they're usually more national in nature, but I do follow them at times. I'll follow, I always go to CNN for a laugh to just see what's going on there because I find CNN it's just bad. I can't get through it. The fact that Wallace went from Fox to CNN, that was a little bit of a head scratcher. It's kind of like, what's going on there? How much of an offer did CNN Plus, the streaming platform, how much of an offer did they put in front of him to make him move from there to there? Must have been a chunk, right? Must have been a chunk. So bottom line here is if a real estate guy can kind of follow these trends by reading the news and have a basic comprehension on how some of these things should go, politicians should be able to figure this out too. They know what the deal is. They know what's going on. Maybe the really high up ones like, I don't know, the POTUS, maybe they're just so out of contact with reality. They're just like, I don't know, give me a talking point. Let me let it rip. But for the rest of us, if you're concerned about a community's safety, it's invariably these shooters, stolen guns. The people committing these crimes, they've got a history of it and we're just letting them out. I mean, California is experiencing that right now. That billionaire's wife got murdered by a guy out on parole. I mean, we're just letting these criminals just run around willy-nilly and do their thing. And guess what? They're not going to stop until we start to, kind of counter that. Counter it, just like Mayor Breed down in San Francisco. We need to put an end to this violence. Therefore, we're going to flood the area with cops. All right, we're going to flood the area with cops. We're going to talk about gun control when, in fact, how are you going to control the stolen guns? I'm not a big 2A guy. I'm not. I think if people want guns, they should have the right to own one. That is 2A though, right? Second Amendment. But I'm not a guy that goes to work with a, gun on his holster in my back, mainly because that would feel really uncomfortable doing what I do, sitting on a gun all day. But, I've had conversations with friends who are like, yeah, you know what? I just got a gun. I just got a shotgun. Somebody that I know very, very well throughout the mortgage industry for maybe, I don't know, close to 30 years just told me, yeah, Sean, hey, I got a shotgun. And she lives way out. And that makes sense. And I was like, yeah, as you should. Because if stuff goes sideways, I want you to be protected. Single gal living in her own home, you bet, protected. So take some lessons, learn how to run your shotgun. And what I told her is, with a shotgun, best thing you can do is just be standing on the other side of the door and just make that racking of the chamber really loud. You know, that sound that shotguns make, click, click. Make that sound loud. People will, they'll take off from that. Is that a shotgun? I don't want to stick around to find out. That's a shotgun on the other side of this door. I am out here. You know, stuff like that, whereas the little handgun, not going to have the same influence, but, you know, to each their own. To each their own gun, but don't have it be a stolen gun. And for all these prosecutors that are just letting these folks just run around willy-nilly, yeah, that's not working out. We're at that point where the optics are so bad that even basic people are like, I can only ignore this for so long. We can only ignore this crime spree for so long and pretend it's not really going sideways. I've been talking about this stuff for a while, right? And it's unusual for a real estate guy to be talking about it, because I should be telling you, hey, it's all safe. It's all okay. Go out and buy a house. You should really buy a house. Now is the best time to buy a house. Interest rates are super low, historically low interest rates, on top of, you know, opportunity to have a home during the greatest increase in property values. That's how you spin it, right? Sorry to give away industry secrets, folks, but none of this stuff is genius. It's just like, all right, how do you spin buying a home in an upward market? Well, you're going to have appreciation. After a year, you're going to have 29% appreciation. You bought a house for $1 million, you're going to be up $290,000. Don't take my advice on that one. Buy your own home at your own. If you want a home, and you know, one of my kids is buying a home right now, and literally he's got 50 minutes and he'll be signing escrow. And so I, you know, gave him the same advice, and he was thinking, and I literally saw an article the other day that was like, don't buy a home, invest your money, control your own money. And that's what my son has done for, you know, he's 28, but now he's buying a house. I think he basically said, Dad, on Sundays, I want to mow the lawn. All right. Yeah, I was there at one time too. You know, you mow that lawn a couple of dozen times, that novelty will wear off, but you got to experience that novelty. This is my own lawn. I've got my own lawnmower. I'm a man controlling my own destiny. That's how you feel. And it's a really great feeling to do that on your own home. No questions asked. But, you know, in today's market, you're kind of like, all right, how is this all going to work out? Is this going to work out? And, you know, having these news stories out there where people are like, all right, do this, do that. And you've got these cops, you know, you got a car and you've got criminals running around. We were all aware of the optics, and the optics on the housing market it's feverish. The optics on crime it's a little out of control, and we can't really ignore it anymore. So what are you going to do? Even in cities that are, you know, supposed to be somewhat safe, I'm seeing porch pirates. I mean, my girlfriend is involved in a bunch of neighborhood groups online. She just follows them, and every now and then she'll send me a picture. Hey, do you know this person? She just stole our neighbor's, Christmas present off the front porch. It's like people have gotten really brazen with their crime, kind of like this guy right here. Man attempts to elude police car, Bellevue police, and car up on jacks. It's just like, oh, okay, what were you doing there? Crazy. All right, that's it for me on this one. But yeah, there's some storylines in here that I see all the time that unless you're looking for them, you're not going to pay attention to. But they're out there, and I think they're important. And I think people need to expose these storylines and just put it out there for what it is. And then we make decisions based from there. And a lot of it has to do with who you vote for at election time. The 𝒔𝒕𝒍𝒆 recall is probably, they're super tight on votes there. They're still talking about whether they need to do a final count. And I believe they have until December 17th is when they're going to release the final statistics. But 𝒔𝒕𝒍𝒆 recall is probably not going to happen. Wah, wah, wah. Gave it a really good run. And recall 𝒔𝒕𝒍𝒆 did a great job. But at the end of the day, sometimes people, They just don't care. They want what they want. They're okay with the crime. They're okay with the stolen guns. Let's just keep going. This isn't that bad. It's kind of how I feel things are in Seattle right now. And people are like, it's not that bad. It's okay. It's all right. We'll just keep running with this. And I'm kind of sitting back going, I'm not all right with it. That's not the city that I knew and grew up in. But, gives me podcast content for days. All right. Thanks for being with me on this one. I will catch up with you very soon. Until then, do stay safe. And if you're in a car that's up on jacks, it's not going to go anywhere. That's just a little insightful information. I mean, it's going nowhere. It might fall off the jacks and you might get injured. So just, beware. Thanks again for being here. We'll catch up soon. Bye for now.